Jesus told the disciples a parable about their need to pray always and not to lose heart. He said, "In a certain city there was a judge who neither feared God nor had respect for people. In that city there was a widow who kept coming to him and saying, 'Grant me justice against my opponent.' For a while he refused, but later he said to himself, 'Though I have no fear of God and no respect for anyone, yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will grant her justice, so that she may not wear me out by continually coming.' And the Lord said, 'Listen to what the unjust judge says. And will not God grant justice to his chosen ones who cry to him day and night? Will he delay long in helping them? I tell you, he will quickly grant justice to them. And yet, when the Son of Man comes, will he find faith on earth?'" The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
Amen. So for many years, 11 exactly, I had a title in my job description: assistant. What that means is this: when the text is difficult, like this parable to figure out, I preached. Jesus saves a kitty cat, my boss preached. So Bishop Jose asked all the clergy at the conference to start doing something. Start asking people what they think. So you heard the parable, the unjust judge. What's the point? Who knows? You can talk. Nagging? Seriously. This is your chance to preach. Persistence. Anyone else? Yes, in the back.
Not all leaders are good.
Go away, Dick. But that's it. Persistence. 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 On that too. So, you hear this parable, the unjust judge. And what's the point? And I think persistence is that. You just keep trying and trying and trying. So when I was in the 7th grade, junior high, in my mind being the perfect setting for hell. 7th grade, we had a new student join us. His name was Zane Drum. Now Zane was about 5'3" and weighed about 300 pounds. And he got teased from day one. He got made fun of, derided, including one very memorable time that still breaks my heart, where all the students took all the big desks and left him the one tiny one that he couldn't fit into. And I watched him, red-faced, as he looked at all of us and said, "Why would y'all do this to me?" And he leaned over and with a very big Reebok pump shoe, kicked the desk over and stormed out. And his entire year of 7th grade was one insult after insult after insult. So then we came to that one time that all PE students dreaded every year, the Ronald Reagan fitness test. Where as a class you'd be forced to see how many push-ups you can do in front of your peers, how many sit-ups, how much you could almost like burst and have an aneurysm trying to get a pull-up in front of all the cute girls in class. The last thing was the mile run. And if you didn't make the mile in 15 minutes, you would fail the test. And so all of us are ready to go. We ran 1 lap, 2 laps, 3 laps, and I finished in about 7 minutes. Some of my friends finished earlier than me, and some finished later. But we noticed one person on the track. It was Zane. He started off running but couldn't do it, and was sweating and walking and crying. There's no way he could make that in 15 minutes, a mile. So something really weird happened. Every class had that one female who was the it female, the cute girl everyone liked, the one who was so popular. They all had that. And we did too. And her name was Nikki, and she ran out to Zane and simply put a hand on his shoulder and said, "Come on." And then my friend Jeff went out there with Zane, hand on his shoulder, and said, "Come on." I went out, put a hand on his shoulder and said, "Come on." And around that track we went, helping him run and persist. And we got there in 14 minutes and 55 seconds. And so he passed the test. But he persisted. He persisted because he didn't do it by himself. He did it with community. So coming up, we're going to celebrate the life of Allison Cheek, one of the Philadelphia 11 who was ordained in this church. And I got a chance to spend some time with her, to sit with her, to hear her stories as she talked. And luckily, my little daughter was with me. And she talked about bomb threats, death threats, rudeness, being discriminated against, all the stuff that should stop you, that you couldn't run the finish line. But she said, I persisted, and kept going and going and going. So here's our challenge as Christians. Everything out there is so dark and so divided. And it's so easy to give up. So easy to give up. But we're called in this gospel for this one simple reason. No matter how unjust the world is, no matter how unfair things are, what it means to be Christian is to persist and keep going and going and going. Because through faith in God and each other, if we just keep moving forward, we'll get past the finish line. We'll get past the finish line. Persist, persist, persist. Amen.